Alright, so welcome back. Time to actually do some code. Talking is no fun, right? Doing code is where you really learn these things. So we're going to make an app that already has the HTML and CSS done, and we're just going to write the JavaScript for us. The app that we're going to do is called Coffee Counter. Let's go ahead and show you a demo first. So this is a finished version, so this is what we're going to be building. So Coffee Counter will already have a lot of the HTML done, and so the idea of this app is that you're just going to tell this app how many cups of coffee you've had today, right? So when you've had 0 cups of coffee, your world is slightly tilted, it's very blurry, and then as soon as you've had 1 cup of coffee, you click on the button, right? And so a couple things happen there. You can see some classes changed because the appearance changed. So now all the buttons are visible instead of just one. The text changed, so we're going to do things with the text change. And also our image changed, like it was a little tilted. I'll go back to it. It was a little tilted and a little blurry, and then after we go +1, it comes into focus. So you won't be writing any of the CSS. So the only thing you're going to have to do is you're just going to have to swap classes out, swap the text out, and also keep track of how many cups of coffee there are. So that's kind of the focus. And then there's some silly little things in the app. After you've had a second cup of coffee, your world starts spinning a little bit. And then if you've had 3 cups of coffee, you start going very quickly. And then, of course, if you have a 4th cup of coffee, you're spinning out of control, right? And so really this animation is all done in CSS, so we're not doing any jQuery animations. We're just changing a class to do different things. By the way, if you have a 5th cup of coffee, you start to really go ballistic, right? I didn't bother programming anything after a 5th cup of coffee. I thought about doing an animation where it just fell over dead, but I decided that would be a little morbid, so I stuck with that. Reset button obviously brings you back, and then a subtraction button brings down the number of cups of coffee, which is not really realistic, but it's good for the purposes of this demo. So that's going to be the example that we're going to be making together. Let's go ahead and look at some more details on it. So it's going to be focused on teaching us buttons, listeners, and classes. And then let's go ahead and get some starting code. So go ahead and visit this link. So I've got it up here as well. It's going to take you to a basic GitHub repo where you can download starting code. So this is for the JavaScript basics unit. So you just go and click on download zip. And then this is the same drill as always, right? You can download it, but then when you extract it, make sure you extract it into the static folder of your web dev links. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And so, just like before, I put it into the static folder. You've got some number of CSS projects as well. And then if you want to see it, you should hit refresh. And assuming you've got it into the right folder, it should show up here right next to all of your other CSS things. And then just like we did with the CSS, we can add some links to main.py. So if you wanted to, you can open up main.py. And if you scroll down to the JavaScript track, which should be empty at this point, you can paste in some of those text, and that'll make the links for you for the things that we're going to do in this lab. You could go ahead and run it on localhost and make sure that those things actually are working. And then you could visit that page and make sure that your links work before you even start actually doing any code. So I've got mine up. You can see I've got a bunch of CSS track, and then I've got my JavaScript track. And you can click on Coffee Counter, and it'll take you to this page. Now the starting point, what you have so far, if you click on plus, it doesn't do anything, right? That's because the HTML is present, but there's no JavaScript to actually make it interactive. All right, so at this point we've got the project downloaded, we've got those links added, and we're ready to start actually writing this stuff. So our goal is to, of course, listen for clicks so that we can track the number of cups, update the text, and then modify the image class and other classes as appropriate. So those are our goals. Let's take a look at the starting point for just a little bit, both from a code perspective and then also doing some things in the Chrome Dev Tools. So kind of looking at the code first, if you expand this out, so you can see that the Coffee Counter, I went ahead and organized this one into folders. So it's got an image folder with 1 image. It's got a JavaScript folder with 1 file. And it's got a style sheet, again, with 1 file. Things, of course, start with the HTML, though, so you can go and open up the HTML. The first thing you'll notice in the HTML is that there's some big to-dos for adding jQuery, and then for also adding a link to your coffee.javascript. So that's going to be one of the first things we're going to do. And then the actual page is quite small, right? So here's the entirety of the page. This one is not using Bootstrap. Your lab in this unit will be using Bootstrap. And I find that whenever I write something myself, the number of lines is way less. Whenever I write something in Bootstrap, they use a lot of divs as wrappers. My code gets huge in Bootstrap. But this is the basics. And then if we wanted to, we could also look at the CSS to see what's going on. So we see there's a class on here of no cups, so that must be doing something. And so if we come into the CSS, we can see that all the rules for this are actually already done. This was all custom done, and so there's actually a ton of CSS rules, which is kind of the reverse. If I'd been using Bootstrap, there probably would have been a lot fewer CSS rules, but you can see that there's some CSS rules in here that make this page work. Some of the things that we care about are things like the no cups class affecting the reset button, the start button, and so you can see that they are hidden. So those two classes are hidden if the no cups class is present, which you experience that as well. And we'll go change that. And then to do the animations, there's a class for 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups, and mini cups. And so we're going to be setting those classes to see these things happen. One of the neat things about Chrome DevTools is you can actually go do that, right? So you can actually say inspect element, and you can come in here and you can mess with the body. So right now it says no cups. If I just deleted that, you can see the impact that would have is it would make all those buttons show up. It also took off the blurry tilted on the image. So that's one of the things we're going to be doing. You could also do things if you wanted. So for example, let's take the image here, and I'm just going to double click on it, and I'm just going to type the word class equals, I'll say 2 cups. And just by adding that class, oops, I was not on the image. I suppose I should fix that. You know what, I'm just going to let it spin, why not? And then on the image, which is what I meant to do last time, let's add a class here of, I don't know, let's put on mini cups. And so you can see I just manually typed in the word class equals, and then mini cups in quotes, and then a space. And then as soon as I did that, you can see it started that animation. So you can see really all the JavaScript is doing is it's just cleverly changing the classes, and then what the view does is all handled by the CSS. So those are some of the things we're going to be doing in this unit. So we'll just go ahead and cut this video off here, and we'll come back next time to start implementing these things. The first thing being putting in those links to the JavaScript that we need. All right, see you next time. Bye.